Hey guys, if you're listening to this on our YouTube channel or our SoundCloud account, I want to let you know that this is actually about a week late. We actually recorded this the previous Sunday and we released it today because we wanted to wait until it was public on the Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, and YouTube pages for the official sources. And also because we want to post this up a week early for our Patreon users. So if you want to check out our RWBY reviews the day after the episode actually drops for first members or premium Verve holders, then come check them out on our Patreon. Become a patron. Fairy Tale Podcast on Patreon, or just simply patreon.com/fairytalepodcast. On with the review. Hey gang, welcome back. We're going to be talking about RWBY again, and I'm sorry we've been gone for about the last 2 weeks. Stuff happened, I got distracted, it's totally my fault, and we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
I work 6 days a week.
Yeah, that is also true. Yeah, we're going to cover episodes 2, 3, and 4, and yeah, we're covering 4. Guys, if you're checking us out on YouTube or on SoundCloud, you're getting this a week late. If you want to get it, if you want to hear our opinions literally after it comes out for first members or people that are subscribed to Verve Premium, then you can do that by going to our Patreon. Guys, we're not asking for the moon. It's just $1. You can do $1 and become a patron and get access to all the stuff that we put out early or specifically for our patrons only. That having been said, I'm Richie Roberts.
I'm Walker Hembry.
And we're going to talk some RWBY. Okay, first and foremost, I just want to say I called it on a couple of things. I'm just jumping into, because the most recent episode, obviously, I watched was 4. I rewatched it for the 3rd time, just before this call. So I just wanted to be I called it on, the whole, what if Ozpin trains the gang? Yeah, so, because I remember talking about that.
Yeah, you did call that.
I called it.
I like.
Also, apparently, if you people shipping Ozpin and RWBY is now called Rose Garden. There's a term for that now. Which
you mean Oscar and RWBY? Yeah,
yeah,
Rose
Oscar
Garden's been
and
around
RWBY.
for a while.
I didn't think that Ozpin and RWBY was a thing.
Yeah, no, Oscar and RWBY has been a thing since the end of Volume 4.
Oh God.
The minute they saw Oscar in the tavern, people were like, "I ship it!" And they started just making fan art, and I'm like, I can get behind this.
Okie dokie. So now I have another thing to Google image search. Rose Garden. Okay, good to know.
Rose Garden RWBY. You don't want to type in Rose Garden, otherwise you will find a lot of decorative rose gardens.
Actually, I was going to say RWBY and then Rose Garden, but I mean,
either one.
I didn't say RWBY, but it was going to be typed in. That having been said. All right, so episode 2 was dark, really, really dark.
Yeah.
We get to we have a lot of behind the scenes of what's going on with the White Fang. I mean, the best thing that I would say, the best outcome that we had from episode 2 was that we got more of Hazel. We got more of Hazel. Anytime we get more Hazel, I'm interested because he's such a mysterious character, and I just love that voice. Also, I loved... Yeah, it was episode 2 where we finally got to hear that... we heard that conversation between Salem and Watts and Lionheart, and I thought that was great just for the fact that Watts was very curious about the communication grim. It was you got to see the curiosity behind Watts, and rewatching the reaction from Murder of Birds, he pointed out something that I didn't notice in episode 1, which was the signature W. I noticed it in episode 1, the signature W when Watts was talking. I didn't notice that was the same W that showed up in season 3 when they were looking at the Queen virus or whatever. So it seems that Watts built that specifically for Cinder to use to infiltrate the Veil.
Yeah.
And specifically the Beacon Tower and all that, the CCT. at Beacon.
Watts is the master of machinations.
Apparently so. But I love that was cute banter going there back and forth. And of course we got a lot of fighting. We got to see Weiss actually doing some fighting and stuff. And I may be wrong about this, and correct me if I am, but from my point of view, what it seemed like was the distress call that was going on wasn't even a real distress call. It seemed to have been something set up by the Bronwyn tribe.
It was not falsified. It was a it sounded originally like a patrol or like a distress beacon from like a refugee group. But once we saw the attack going down, it looked like it was an actual Mistral patrol that had gotten too close into Grimm territory and were under attack. Like, it was an actual Mistral military patrol that was under attack.
Okay, so episode 2 does end with the Bronwyn tribe coming across Weiss and her being more or less kidnapped. Sad to say that the fate of the pilot is left indeterminate, but you're pretty much left to speculate that he's dead.
Pilot Coon was pilot. The best. Never forget Pilot Coon. You can get your Never Forget Pilot Coon t-shirts at just kidding.
Right.
Maybe later.
We don't even know his name. His name is just Pilot Coon. Did he have an actual name? Was it listed in the credits?
No, it was just he's pilot.
No, I'm not gonna go with Pilot Coon because he is an older character, so I would be like Pilot Senpai.
Pilot Sensei.
Pilot Senpai. No, not Sensei. He's not training me to fly. I don't want to learn to fly. I don't want to be like Harrison Ford, man.
I was with this next episode, I was a big fan of the choreographing of Weiss's fighting, because it's shown how she's improved, that even with all this chaos going on, she can still keep her balance, she can still keep her level head. Whereas in what we saw in volumes 2 and 3, she gets a little
she gets irritated too easily. I
was gonna say she's insecure about her own abilities, and she was like always kind of sticking to the back, or like doing one thing. Like in the fight that we saw in the tournament, like she let her insecurities with her family get in the way of her fight with Flint Cole. And then now to see her holding her own against an entire swarm of Grimm, I'm like, props, girl.
There's definitely a lot more confidence to her, and a lot more trust in her own abilities. Yeah, I find that that's been, at least of the last 2 seasons, I think the person that has grown the most is actually Weiss. I'm actually very much digging Weiss's character now.
Oh, also, gravity dust is a thing. That was super
dust,
cool.
That's kind of awesome, yeah. So, the funny part here is, like, we've known a lot of the voice actors that they've grabbed from outside of Rooster Teeth, and Sienna Khan is no exception. Monica Rial had a short moment as Sienna Khan, and I didn't even recognize that she was Sienna Khan. I'm like, that's Monica? I'm used to hearing her do, like, child voices and stuff like that, so actually, like, hearing her do, like, low voices and stuff, like, she did not sound like Monica, and I was like, well done. Also, it's just fun to be like, I've talked to that person, I know that person, we've interviewed that person, and be like, now we have to try and get them back. Let's talk about RWBY. You know, for the 5 minutes you were in the show. Unless there's flashbacks later. But yeah, man, that whole thing was depressing. I'm starting to feel that anytime Adam is going to be on the screen, it's going to be depressing, and he's going to do something to ruin everything on a level that I wasn't even prepared for.
Yeah, Adam has taken the dark dive.
I feel like at this point he should just change his title. It should just be Adam, the Wrecker of Your Mood, or just the Wrecker of Your Shit, because that's essentially what he is. And I know that where he's coming from initially was filled with good intention, but at this point, he's acting more like a bratty child than anything else. And, I mean, even Hazel is not happy with him.
I mean, good intentions is a bit of a stretch. I feel
No,
like
he started with good intentions, and eventually it led him to here.
yeah, before the Black trailer.
Yeah, I'm talking about initially when he joined the White Fang, his intentions probably were vastly different from what they are now.
And then he's just like, hey, kill all the humans.
I mean, him wanting a better place, him wanting things to be better for the Faunus, I can still understand and relate to that, but he's taking it to a level. He's taken it to a level that I just can't, and rightly so, even Blake couldn't get behind anymore. So, yeah.
Making this little reference because I've been watching a lot of different things recently, and this kind of clicked with me when I rewatched the episode of RWBY. Adam's transformation very much reminds me of George Orwell's Animal Farm. Pun intended.
Okay.
Simply because he started off saying he hated the tyrannical rule of humans and how they subjugated the Faunus, and now he's making that slow transition into dictator because I'm seeing someone who, yes, is still motivated to make life better for the Faunus, but as he said, he's not looking to be respected anymore. He's looking to be feared. They're the dominant species. They're superior race.
As soon as he sat down in Santa Khan's chair, I said, "Oh, hello, Palpatine."
I was just more like, I immediately, the minute he sat down, I heard, this is gonna be really bad. I heard the song from Robot Chicken, the Little Hitler, such a scamp. I was just like, why would I do this?
I'm not familiar with that one. I'm sorry.
They did never mind. It was funny.
Now I've thought of a great like RWBY short where Adam has to walk by a bunch of White Fang members and he'd be like, Stormtrooper, Stormtrooper, Stormtrooper.
I would love that.
I would too. Let's make it happen. All right.
Then
somebody
3.
out there in the community make it happen. Yes, let's get on to episode 3. We had a lot going on in that one. You go ahead and describe episode 3.
So it's been a while since I've seen episode 3, so I'm going to go ahead and state that out front.
Okay. I watched it earlier today.
I did not because I had a morning shift. Wasn't able to watch it.
I had to refresh. I knew I was going to have this conversation today, so I had to refresh myself on everything.
All I remember, and this is probably the majority of the episode, is it started out on Blake's end. We get to see the kind of fallout with the White Fang and how that's going down. The press release.
Yeah, the announcement from Big Daddy B.
Yeah, he's announcing his new mixtape out now on iTunes.
Out now on iTunes. Look for Big Daddy B.
I just like the fact of how uncomfortable he got when Sun was just like, "You got this." He's just like,
I so don't have this. I so don't have this. He's like, Sun is the reason he knows he doesn't have this. He's like, I don't have this.
It was nice to see how the world of Remnant very much is similar to ours in shape of politics and modern day, just outside of certain things, because I enjoyed his speech. It just reminded me a little too much of the political speeches we've been seeing recently, and well, not recently, in the past, yes. So it struck a chord with me of how he's talking about wanting to make things like better, and how it started off with good intentions, and he gave it to Sienna because he thought that she could take more direct action, and he didn't approve of a lot of her methods, but still saw her as a pupil of his, and But
even she had like her restraints. Like there are certain things she just would not do, and of course Adam took it a step even further.
Yeah, he did, and
we had that, and then we had Ilya.
What's her face? Yeah. She took the fall for everything, which just it upsets me that she's going through with this, like, because she's not a bad person.
She's really not, no.
She's a very good person. She just seems to be very deluded by Adam's ideals. And
I wonder, it makes me wonder where they're taking her character later on in this season. Like, is this season going to end with everybody kind of meeting up together in Haven and having to do the fight against
the White Fang?
The White Fang, like how's that going to go down? and what forces are going to clash, things like that. But we'll get to that theory. We'll get to speculation about things towards the end of this conversation. Then from there, we moved on to... Did we move on to RWBY and the King, or did we go immediately to Weiss?
I think
Weiss was actually
the end of the episode. It was Blake and Weiss centric. RWBY didn't show up again until episode 4. I feel.
No. The RWBY's conversation in episode 3. They had a conversation with. It was basically that was the time that, and I had to give for anybody paying attention to the Fairy Tale Podcast Twitter, you would have seen me give a hell of a lot of props to. God, now I blinked on his name. Aaron. To Aaron for how he changed his entire vocal mannerisms, his the way that he spoke, his diction, everything changed when he went from Oscar to Ozpin. And so we had that going on. And so we learned a bit more about Ozpin and more the lure around him. And then, he announced that he would train them and things like that. And kind of pointed out everybody's shortcomings, including Oscar's, as far as the training that they required. And then, we got time with Weiss. I can't remember if Weiss did actually end the episode because it ended with her tiny little knight.
Yeah. I was just happy with the cute little RWBY Oscar moment we got there.
Nora kind of stole the show for me on this one just because of facial expressions and the way that she would grumble when they were like, all we have to do is take him to Leo, and they're like, no, we're not gonna do that, and she's like, Nora was the most kind of I guess you could say in line with the audience as far as the way she was doing things. Yeah.
Nora turns to look directly at the camera. But that's minstrel.
When Ozpin jumped on the chair and was spinning the cane around and everything, everybody else had looks of surprise, and Nora's just kind of there that's not impressive. She had that look of Nora's not impressed. Yeah. If there aren't 50 gifs of that already, I'm very disappointed in the RWBY community. There should be, if there aren't. I haven't really been looking around, but yeah.
But yeah, no, she ended out the episode talking with the Spring Maiden, actually.
Yes, she did. That was Weiss speaking with the Spring Maiden.
Whose name I can't remember.
I don't remember her name either, but I don't remember who voices her. I honestly don't, and that's sad. But, I mean, it was interesting getting to learn... I love how we're expanding out and getting more characters and learning more, and the world of Remnant is being fleshed out quite a bit more through this as the story of RWBY continues. Did we have any other things we wanted to talk about specifically to Episode 3? My key focus in Episode 3 was mostly centered around RWBY. The stuff going on in Menagerie was kind of just what I expected, and not a lot really happened. We got a nice speech, but that was kind of it. Nothing kind of went beyond where I was expecting it to. And if I'm being honest, the stuff that went down in Menagerie was a little underwhelming for me.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything that garnered my attention. I guess maybe I was anticipating too much from that, and there was no payoff for my level of anticipation, so it felt underwhelming to me. They met my anticipation with the conversation with Oscar and Crow and Team Ranger, so that was really good. And then the only thing that was kind of surprising to me was finding out, I mean, it shouldn't have been all that surprising now that I think about it, but finding out that Winter had been recalled to Atlas and that Weiss is pretty much on her own was another thing that kind of surprised me there. But, I mean, for the most part, this episode wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. It was just kind of okay. Mm-hmm. My buddy Charlie, I got him into watching RWBY. He started last week and he got caught up by episode 3. And one of the things he said when episode 3, when he was towards the end and she summoned
the statue in its tiny form, she goes, well, why doesn't she just make him big? You know, then she could just straight out bust out of there. And then moving on from 3 to 4, she does that in episode 4. And there's a lot of fun stuff I want to talk about with episode 4 because there was a lot of cool stuff. So anything else you wanted to talk about regarding 3?
Nothing really. I kept trying to find who voiced the Summer Maiden, and apparently they are unnamed. So
that would be because the Spring Maiden is the one that we're looking for.
Spring is unnamed, and as is their voice actor, I believe. No, their voice actor is named. I don't remember who it was. Wait, I saw a tweet about it.
The Spring Maiden actually was named in episode 4. I just forgot it.
Yeah, I'm finding it. I remember it was on my Twitter. I lost my shit about it. I was like really happy.
With who voiced her?
Yeah, I was trying to find it. I remember I retweeted it. It was Amber Lee Connors. She was Belly in Honey Pop and Akane in Love Tyrant.
I haven't seen the dub for Love Tyrant.
I'm assuming she's done other roles.
How many people in Honey Pop do you know? That's the question.
Just that one?
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you knew Belly as well. So
yeah, I know the archetypes. I don't know the people names.
Which is so funny because Belly is the exact opposite of the Spring Maiden chick.
Yeah. Getting off of Honey Pop.
Anyway. This sweet little angel turned into this. What did Honey Pop do to her?
Episode 4.
Okay, yeah. Starts off with Yang. Starts off with Yang.
Mostly Yang-centric.
It's Yang-centric, and then we actually get some training, and then we get Yang Raven time, followed by Yang Wise time, which was adorable.
Yep. Also, I was really excited with episode 4 because I was right.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I don't think you ever got this message, but at like 4 a.m, I think 2 weeks ago,
there was no way I got that message.
I typed up a message on Facebook to send to you, and it was probably horribly mistyped, and I probably didn't even send it. I probably passed out beforehand. But I was like...
I don't think you did, no.
I was like, oh my god, Richie, I figured it out. I know what Raven's semblance is. So what if it's not like death as in she can predict people's deaths or she's like, inflicts death? What if it's like Nightcrawler, where she passes through the underworld? And then I find out that her thing is portals with people she holds a strong connection with, and it doesn't matter the distance between them. I'm like, so she does just bamf from one person to another.
That doesn't necessarily mean she goes through the underworld.
No, but it's still portal to somewhere. It's like the fucking door to darkness. Don't fucking think into it. It's like Kingdom Hearts logic.
No, they're portals. She worked for Aperture Science, and this is what happened.
I'm still holding true to my theory that it's going through the underworld because they have.
That's why she. No. It's Aperture Science. That's why she has to wear boots.
Okay, but here's my thing: is that
Raven is Shell. Raven is Shell.
No,
moving on.
No, I disagree because I'm saying the portals are similar to the Grimm portals we see. So that's why I'm thinking it's like the underworld or some dark nexus or something. Which would make the death motif more prevalent.
Is that why she has to wear the Grimm mask?
Maybe she has to look like them.
Yeah, we did learn a lot more about Raven, and I love the fact that she said dad. Like, I loved Yang's entire attitude with Raven. Like, Raven was like, I'm so glad you're here, and like was trying to put on the motherly things, and Yang is like, nope, pump the brakes, I'm not here for you. And I'm like, ha! I was technically right. She was going for her sister. She just needed to find her mom to make it easier. So, I was right about something that you said I was wrong about.
I mean, I still hold true to that. I'm a little right, because, I mean,
how it comes down to is we're either both right or we're both wrong. And I'm like, we're both right.
I say we're both wrong.
Fuck you. We're both right. Maybe I'm the optimist in this situation.
Maybe there's an ulterior motive. Maybe
we will put up a poll. We will put up a poll on Patreon.
Do it.
Were we both right or were we both wrong about the fact that Yang is technically was going to find RWBY, but she had to go to Raven in order to get to RWBY as quickly as she could?
I say we're both wrong. Everybody.
I say we're both right. I say we're both right. Walker says we're both wrong. You decide. 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. hey, it's actually the beginning of November. It's a year from when the elections happened.
Oh, yeah.
So technically, this is the appropriate time to vote on this poll.
Yeah, true. But I like the banter between Weiss and Yang during this episode because it was just, it's nice to see that the distance between them and the time that it's been has not really put a damper on their friendship too much.
That hug at the end.
Yeah, that was
just
beautiful.
where Weiss just dropped all of her guard and just was like, I miss you so much. Like, that was, the feels. You got me in the feels. I was like, oh shit, Rooster Teeth can still do feels. Nice.
Your mother kidnapped
RWBY still
me?
has
You
feels.
kidnapped her?
Yeah. Well, that's my mom, and your mother kidnapped me? You kidnapped her? That was great comedic timing. Also, I loved the fight that they had in the beginning with Yang versus, like...
Everybody?
Everybody. I love seeing it because everything that Tai Yang talked to her about and was training her about in Volume 4, you got to see that. She wasn't such a straightforward fighter. She did think her way around a lot of that fight. You can tell her fighting style has vastly improved. Yes, she's still dealing with some of her anger issues, but now she has it more under control than she did before when she just kind of like let it go and just blew everything to hell.
Combat charged into everything. She's got more combat awareness now. She keeps track of where her enemies are and she uses her terrain to her advantage.
She's a much smarter fighter now. Much, much smarter.
I liked it too because he's like, you're going to give us all your stuff. She's like, okay. And then she just like, first weapon comes out. And they're all like tense.
I love that. She was like, is this everybody? And he's like, well, I mean, except for all the people in the main camp over that way. And I'm just sitting there going, this guy is giving her all the information she needs. And Yang's just like, kind of like, thank you. Now here's a beatdown. It's just like, it was fucking fantastic. I loved it.
It was too funny.
Yang has grown, not quite to the level that Weiss's character has grown, but there's definitely a subtle difference to Yang now that's made her a much more complete character.
Also, can I just go ahead and say that Jean and Oscar are going to be the best of friends?
They are. Especially once their semblance activates. I hope we get to see Jean's semblance.
I'm thinking it's going to be something incredibly cool because here's my reasoning on it. Before anyone could say anything about Jean's semblance or like his training, Ozpin immediately cut in and was like, hey, don't worry about that. You know, semblances take time and they evolve and shit, and you shouldn't go rushing into it or looking for it or anyway. And I'm like, what do you know? What do you know? What do you know, Magic Man?
I don't think it was Ozpin that broke in, though.
Yeah, no, like they were talking about, it's like, yeah, you and Jean are the same. You guys don't know your semblances either. And it's like, what? It's like, oh, well, I'm training and stuff. And then immediately, as he started like trailing off, Ozpin, like the eyes flashed on Oscar, and Ozpin cut in, and he was like, it's no need to worry about it, Mr. Ark, yada yada yada.
Actually, I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that anything to do with the fact that they're obfuscating from that. It had more to do with just encouragement, because he could tell that Jean was feeling down. I think you're reading a little too much into it in this particular one. Though I did like the explanation. I believe that you are.
But Ozpin always knows. Ozpin knows too much.
Yeah, but you overread a lot into RWBY.
I do.
You do.
I take it very seriously.
That having been said, though, I love the explanation, not only about their powers, but how they got them. Finally, we got to get the official confirmation on what Ren's
semblance,
thank you. I don't know why I was thinking essence. That's not it. But yes, what Ren's semblance was, and that, of course, was the ability to hide emotions, which is very useful around the Grimm.
Insanely useful. It makes him like a super ninja.
And it was brought about by stress. I love that RWBY's just kind of happened during training. And the best part of all, her being Thor, got struck by lightning, didn't die. Crazy Thursday, or once she said it, I looked right over at Charlie and I started laughing. He goes, what? I go, Thursday! Because Thursday was originally called Thor's Day.
Yep.
And that's just perfect. I love it. Crazy Thursday. And Odin's Day was
Wednesday.
Actually Wednesday, yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it was Woden's Day.
Woden's Day, yes.
No, but I also like this because and I like the yellow character short because we saw for a fact that semblance and aura are actually not directly correlated.
Yeah, they're not the same thing. I also love the explanation about how semblance, like, I love the idea of, like, the discussion of to whether semblance is brought about by your personality or if it's vice versa. Your personality is based around your semblance. I love that they had that out there, and that was an interesting kind of twist on it and everything
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
and it was also nice to see it that way as well because it showed that your semblance is awoken by your aura, but not necessarily fueled by it. It's an aspect, just like you have different aspects of your personality.
Also, Raven, going back to the Yang Raven and Weiss and the Spring Maiden, the most interesting part of that right now for me is what happened that made Raven distrust Osmond so much.
Summer
Like,
is what happened.
I'm curious, is Summer herself?
I think that is what it's going to lead to because Team Stark has taken of the previous teams of that have worked with Ozpin that we've seen. Team Stark has taken the heaviest hit. So I'm assuming that whatever broke them apart had something to do with Ozpin. Because James has recently been brought into the fold, but Leo was there for a long time. And Leo is just horrified of Salem and her side. Like, he knows too much. So I'm wondering, what
Whereas
Ozpin's
I feel like
real
James
agenda
is just young and hot-headed.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, at this point, what Ozpin's real agenda is, because we've spent three volumes being told that this guy is, the good guy, that he's protecting everyone and preserving the balance, and then in volume 4, we start seeing more of the evil side and kind of, where they, or not evil side, but Salem's side and their influence in things. And then in volume 5, we're starting to kind of see that both sides are a little, not what they appear to be.
Right.
So I'm wondering what it is that really he did or that he made them do that fractured their team, because Ty doesn't trust, he trusts his daughters, but he doesn't trust Ozpin. He stays away from all that. He teaches. Crow works directly for Ozpin. Raven is in direct opposition of everyone. And then Summer is just dead. So,
but it also, I mean, I don't think we've gotten full clarity on what's going on with Tai Yang to begin with.
Yeah.
He's still well connected to everyone at Beacon. I mean, you can tell by the conversation that they had in episode 4 of volume 4 when he had, Oobleck and Port there. I don't think there's this great divide between he and Osmond, but there's definitely kind of a wound there from if Summer was the correlation that led to all this. And, obviously Tai Yang and Summer, it feels like with Summer's death, it kind of made a larger separation, but at the same time, them having children kind of also helped separate them as well, because I loved going back and remembering Yang talking about Summer in volume 2, where she was super mom, slayer of monsters and baker of cookies. And I'm like, that's awesome in and of itself. But, Yang was old enough to remember Summer. So she'd been around for a while. So she and RWBY had been born around that time. So I figure it was also a bit more of a family thing. And it honestly feels like whatever happened with Raven took place before Summer died. Well before Summer died.
Well,
but
yeah,
at the same time, now I'm kind of
the sisters.
But at the same time, though, I'm kind of wondering what happened specifically after the death of Summer, because, Raven still has her portal connection to Tai Yang, and I'm wondering, did she ever pay, has she paid Tai a visit? I'm thinking yes, she did, but how often and when did she visit him? I would sincerely hope that Raven at least came by to check up on him shortly after summer had passed, to at least if he was in a large amount of depression, just to give him the boot in the ass he needed to be. He was like, look, I understand that you lost your wife and someone that you loved and was very important to you, but you have to get your shit together because you have 2 girls and one of them's mine, and I'll be damned if I let you fuck her up. Or something of that, something of that nature, because that's how Raven strikes me, as she's the one that's going to come by and give you the boot in the ass when you need it from time to time. Like, she does care. But, she can't be there because she has to be around her tribe. And I know I'm giving her a lot more benefit of the doubt than I should be, but it's early days.
I don't trust her.
The early days back then. Oh, I don't trust her now, but I still feel like she has at least some familial connection. And if she's still got her portal set up for Tai Yang, she's used it. If nothing else, to come in and check up on people, or, to get a Tai Yang booty call. Whatever she is.
Here's the thing that struck
That's some
me
fan
as...
art. That's some fan art that I'm seriously worried about now. Is the Tai Yang booty calls going on with Raven? She's like, "Why do you keep this portal going?" And then she just jumps him and is like, "That's why." Oh,
but she said there were 3, right? It was Tai Yang, Crow, and then there was one more.
Her.
I can't remember. It was Yang. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Volume 2.
Yeah. Volume 2. Duh.
Yep.
Which raises the question: how many can she have active at a time?
I don't know, because I'm pretty sure there's been a bunch, because obviously there's someone at the camp, like someone amongst her clan.
Probably Spring.
Yeah, well, it might be, yeah. And then we actually got to see Spring use some power. She called down lightning for a second.
Yeah, is that enough?
Yeah, which, good luck with that if you hit Nora, because that's not going to do anything.
Oh, no.
Thanks for that.
I liked the ending too, because it's like, come into my tent and I will show you the truth. And I'm like a part of me immediately thought, are they just going to go in there in the next episode and it's just going to be full of like a bunch of Illuminati symbols or something? Like, is Raven a conspiracy theory?
Up in the corner, you've got jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Maybe there's references to Rick and Morty, because she's, she could. Maybe Morty is one of those people that she can do portals to.
She had like was the
Raven and Morty, make it happen. Make it happen, fandom. Raven and Morty.
Was the dragon the mountain, or was the mountain the dragon?
Oh my god.
But yeah, I liked the way the episode went, and the story direction they're taking. Volume 5 is good, to say the least. It's nice to see that after Volume 4, with everybody having the little personal growth, or in Blake's case, a massive backslide.
A backslide in which she's slowly moving back up. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for Sun, she wouldn't have been able to move forward.
No.
She would have just not gotten involved at all, and everything probably would have gone very much the way that Adam was planning for Menagerie, if it had not been for Sun.
Yeah.
So Sun has been the pivotal point for all story taking place within Menagerie.
Plus, actually, like, Sun and his team, they're from Haven, right?
Yeah, they are.
So that's going to be really interesting if there is some kind of big fight.
He does know the Academy grounds really, really well.
If there's some big fight, like fucking Neptune comes out, he's like, I was enjoying my beauty rest. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no, Son, what did you do? I brought my fam. Son! It's like, this is Big Daddy B.
And this is Faunus Army. Faunus Army, Neptune. Neptune, Faunus Army.
Do not spray water at him. Everybody just looks very confused. Blake just rolls her eyes. Also, we just need more time with Scarlet to begin with, because, Gavin needs more lines than Ruby.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Or Sage,
Or Sage.
Because I want to know what that thing is up with his sword. It's got Roman numerals on it. Like, can it control time? Like, what is it?
Do we actually think that the Battle of Haven is going to go down this season?
I don't think it is. I think it's going to be in Volume 6, because I think that RWBY is going to operate on like a trilogy type deal where they do like three volumes, and then they do like a progressive story leap, and then 3 more volumes, progressive story leap. I feel like Volume 5, we're going to get this little come together, and then Volume 6, there's going to be this big kind of like confrontation with Adam and Salem. And then I think there's probably going to be like another time skip or something. And then Volume 7.
I think the biggest surprise I've had over these 3 episodes is like how dark episode 2 was, and then how kind of like upbeat the next 2 were. Like, I was expecting it to get much darker, and then it didn't. And I was like, okay, thrown a little for a loop there, but and that's not to say that I didn't like any of the information that I got. I loved a lot of the stuff, like, Oz talking as Ozpin, or, and getting Oscar and Ozpin stuff and learning more about that. The actual training with Teen Ranger, which they desperately need. I'm really hoping that we get to actually see Jean's semblance this season. I'm really hoping that at least he unlocks it this season, and then whenever the battle goes down, he plays a very key important role, because there's been so much buildup around him just with stuff that happened in season 1 and 2, his major character shift after the end of Volume 3, and then when Tyrion comes across him in season 4, and you're like, what is so special about Jean? We want to know, So I'm really curious about what's going to happen there. Just keep the poor boy away from fire. Thank you.
Yes. I'm still going with my theory that he is a descendant of the King of Vale, because that would make hella sense.
Do not tell Jean to go die in a fire. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. That's bad. Bad juju. Bad.
Keep Jean away from Cinder.
But those are our thoughts and opinions. Let us know what yours are. You can leave us comments on Patreon. You can leave us comments on SoundCloud. Please leave us comments on YouTube. Make sure to like, favorite, all the different silly things that you do on all of our different social media. And again, guys, if you want to check these out the day after the episode airs for First members or Verve Premium users, you can go and become a patron of ours at patreon.com/fairytalepodcast. And you can do it for just $1, and that will give you access to all of our patron-only content, and it helps the show.
And
help us get our website back, get back on iTunes, all that stuff.
And most importantly, the most important thing you can do for us is, if you like this content, if you think it's really, really good, share it with your friends. The more people you bring in, the more people we can enlighten to the ways of RWBY goodness.
Or just anything that we're talking about in general. And
yeah, that too.
We will try to start maintaining more, or at least less hectic schedules as soon as we're able to, because we would like to start streaming more shows, and I know there's a lot. But this weekend may be a little bit more difficult, but I mean, Sunday evening shouldn't be too much. This coming weekend, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, because we should be back from Anime Blast by that time. But yeah,
one thing I'm working on, and
I think as soon as we get back from Anime Blast is when I'm gonna be like, okay, watch RWBY.
Yeah.
Unless somehow I can connect to, unless I can connect to the internet through PS4 or Xbox One at the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm bringing my PS4 and you're bringing your Xbox.
Yep.
So if we could do that there, then I could just log into Verve on my PS4 and we can watch it. Because I'd really like to do that. Yeah.
All right.
Like, I think I may have like a Saturday morning panel, and like right after that panel, I'm gonna be like, okay, guys, thank you so much. I have to immediately go run to my room and watch the new episode of RWBY because we have to review it tomorrow evening. Bye.